So, have you ever found yourself looking at a dog or a coyote or a cat or a bird or a snake, and sometimes you feel jealous, like you want to be them because they feel it seems like their life is just simple and easy and free? That's because that's how your body feels. Because life would be that simple and that easy and that free if it weren't for you, the spirit, interfering, making problems, making life more difficult. So in a way, you, the body, you hate you, the spirit. Because for the body, you could kind of just push a play button, almost like when you're dreaming, and you could just go. Life really doesn't have to be that complicated and that difficult and this problematic and this much pain and torture that you feel inside. Actually, with your body, none of that's really necessary. It's kind of a more simple, almost more free life. You just seek pleasure and you avoid pain, and life really is that easy. For the spirit also tends to not like the body. Why? Because you feel imprisoned in it. So, in order to have a good marriage, you have to first have a good marriage with yourself. So, your spirit and your body, you have to learn how to make a good relationship here before you can do anything else. And I'll explain more to you why that is. If we accept the fact that we have a purpose on life, that we have a reason to be here, that we are not just going to wake up, seek pleasure, avoid pain, sleep, repeat. Maybe our life has a bigger meaning. Maybe we have something to do. Then I think we can also accept that whatever name we want to give has created this world, has created this body for us, the spirit, to live in. This is the body we've been given. If we don't want this body, then we are going against our purpose. So, one thing we can decide is, do we want to be married to ourselves? Do we want the spirit, me, myself, Seth the spirit, and Seth the body, to come together? What if Seth the body and Seth the spirit can be best friends? What if we can build a beautiful secret place together, like a house that we can live in together? Imagine that. Imagine how powerful we can be with the spirit and the body happily living together like one. And that's what we're going to do on day one. I'm going to give you some education and I'm going to show you some practices so that you, the spirit, and you, the body, can build or improve a beautiful little secret place inside yourselves, a home. We could call it a home for the spirit and the body to live together and like each other and be best friends and work together. Now, that can be hard to do because your whole life you've been taught to do the opposite. Your whole life you've been taught to separate your spirit and body. You've been taught to do things that don't help to build this home stronger. And today we have a very large number of people. I would refer to it as their spirit. Their spirit is homeless because there's not a nice home that the body and the spirit can live in together. There's almost no home, or it's more like a haunted house. It's a place nobody would want to go to spend time. People like this, oftentimes in some forms of Buddhism, they call it a prayat. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. And Christianity might be referred to as a lost soul. I'm not a scholar of any religion here, so don't knock me if I'm wrong. Um, we might just call people we know lost. You might not look like an outcast, but you feel like one. You feel lost inside. You feel like you don't know where your purpose is. You feel like you don't know why you're here. You're looking for guidance, but nobody can give it to you. Everything you try to do, nothing works. And that's because you can't be helped. And I think Buddhism described it real nice and clear with the word they called this form of living as a prayat. It's like you have a really big stomach, you have a lot of need, but your mouth is the size of a pinhole, like a needle poked a little hole in it. So no matter what anybody tries to do for you or gives you or you try to do for yourself, you'll never get close to filling that need. I believe that when the Buddha spoke of the prayat, what he was referring to was a person whose spirit is homeless. If the body and the spirit don't have a place where they can live together, there's no hope of healing. There's no hope of you finding your purpose in life or fulfilling your success in life. Sometimes there's a home, but it's haunted. And so it's just a place nobody would want to live. So what happens a lot with a lot of people today being, their spirits and bodies not having home where they can live together, being spiritually homeless, we could call it, is let's say a man finds a woman, they start dating. Maybe they get married, maybe she just agrees to marry him. What a lot of people do is they mistake because their spirit's searching for a home. So when they find a woman or a man who seems like maybe they have a nice home, when they agree to date or marry them, they mistakenly believe that they can now move into that person's home, spiritual home, secret place. Oftentimes in a relationship like this, one or both people will be very jealous, very controlling, very I have trouble with words. Manipulative. There we go. And that's because, let's say, this is something I did with my wife. So I move into her home, and I think it's now my home. So when she doesn't keep the home organized and clean, our physical outside home, like I think it should be, I'm very upset because this is my home. Why are you treating my home like this? I'm very jealous, very untrustworthy. I don't want her to go out somewhere with her friends. I have no control over my home. God knows who she could let in there. What could she do? Very passionately jealous. Um, so I tried to manipulate her a lot and control her. The thought of divorcing or breaking up is very painful because you're not just losing a wife, you're also losing your home, like your spiritual home. Now you're back to just being spiritually homeless again. The truth is this will never work. It will never be a healthy relationship. It won't be healthy for me, it won't be healthy for her. I'll never find what I'm looking for trying to live in her home. And she'll never be happy with a husband who's trying to live in her spiritual home or her secret place, we could call it. I would guess this is probably the number one problem with marriages. Either husband doing it to wife, wife doing it to husband, or both doing it to each other and being dissatisfied with the home they find. Not just with the relationship with your wife, but also with other people. When you don't have a strong spiritual home that you can live in, you're not going to really have a good relationship with anyone. So what we're going to focus on in day one, now that I've described to you what a spiritual home is, how we live in it, how sometimes we mistakenly try to live in someone else's home, is how to build our own spiritual home and make it a wonderful place to live. And that's really easy to do. It just takes some practice. So what I'm going to get you to do is to just close your eyes and just breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. As you breathe in, just be aware that you're breathing in. And as you breathe out, just be aware that you're breathing out. Nothing else. That's it. Do that 3 or 4 times. At this point, you're not only alive, but you're aware that you're alive. Now, one thing that's going to happen when you do it, depending on who you are, a lot of people are going to have different experiences. It's not so much that we're trying to repress all thought or have no thought. If you're doing it and maybe you, as you're doing it, you start to think about something you don't want to do tomorrow, that something bad's going to happen tomorrow, you already know it. That thought comes in. Don't try to stop it. If you try to stop it or repress it, what's going to happen is you're just going to make it bigger. Our goal is to live right now in the present moment, 100%, to be here and now. That's the only goal of what we might call meditation or mindfulness. We don't want to live in the past because that's not real. It's not here. There is no future. There's only right here and right now. So our goal is simply to be 100% present. If we want our spirit and our body to talk to each other, if we want to connect, if we want to heal, we can only do that right now. So all we're doing is just bringing ourselves to the present moment. If you want to connect with your daughter or your son or your friend or your boss, you can only connect to them in the present. You can't connect to them in the future. So we breathe in, and we're just simply aware that we're breathing in, and we breathe out, and we're simply aware that we're breathing out. If other thoughts come through, if compulsions come through, emotions, feelings that come through, we're just aware of them. Let them pass through, and I promise you they will. Lots of things will pass by. Don't focus on them. Don't try to stop them. Don't try to shut them out. A lot of people think, clear your mind completely of everything. That's not necessarily the goal. We're just aware of what's happening and just let it pass through, and it will. So I'm breathing in and out. And I can just say to myself or imagine or feel myself being aware as I'm in and I'm out. I can feel my body. I can feel if I'm tense. I can feel if I'm nervous. I can feel if I'm have anxiety. It's okay. Just let that be there and let that come in. Just let it pass through as you focus on in and out. Now maybe a negative feeling comes. Maybe you have impending doom tomorrow. Or soon. Maybe rent's due and you don't have rent. I don't know. There's so many things to worry about in the future, and maybe one of those come. What we normally do in that situation is we try to ignore it. We try to make plans to make ourselves feel better. Well, I'll do, okay, I feel really bad about this, so I'll do this, this, and this, and this, and it's going to be okay. Or maybe we chemically induce ourselves in some way, or we get up and watch TV, something to take our minds off to make us feel better. Instead, what I'm going to ask you to do as we build this home is do the complete opposite. I want you to live inside that pain. I want you to watch it. It's probably going to even grow and get bigger and deeper. It might even feel like it's hurting you. It might feel too painful to sit with it. What I'm saying is sit with it. I'll promise you one thing. It's just an emotion. It cannot hurt you. It can only hurt you if you repress it and ignore it and carry it around with you for the next 20 years. You're not going to die. It's not going to do anything to you. So I'll just do, there's a lot of examples. Sometimes it might be maybe a feeling of deep regret, deep sorrow builds up in you, anxiety for some reason or another. We all have learned to run from the pain, run towards pleasure, do something pleasurable to try to make it go away. I imagine, hatred, anger, there's a lot of negative feelings that could come up in you. And what I want you to do is on your in breath, just be aware of it. So I'll use an example. You're worried about your financial situation. So on your in breath, simply be aware of it. Say hello to it. Recognize it. Don't do anything about it. Don't alter it in any way. So altering it would be making plans. Um, telling yourself everything's going to be okay. Go into the future, imagining not having that financial problem. Thinking about something in the past that takes your mind. We have so many ways that we alter this emotion to try to make it more manageable, more livable. Don't do that. Just feel it. So I'm going to breathe in and acknowledge that I'm feeling this pain. And on my out breath, I'm going to smile to it. I'm just comforting it. Let's say you walk down the street and you see a friend who's bawling, crying. You don't have to know why they're bawling, crying. Why don't you comfort them? Why don't you give them a hug? That will make them feel better. And that's what you're doing to your particular worry. Now, I have to tell you, sitting with it, especially if you've never done it before, it can grow deeper and darker really quickly. It can feel, the pain can really come pouring in. Imagine a friend who's been holding something in for a long time and it could really start gushing. You might feel like it's too painful. What I'm saying is, I promise you it's not too painful. It's just an emotion. It can't hurt you. So breathe in. On the out breath, smile to it. Comfort it. Be with it. If it gets deeper and darker, let it. What's happening here is you are comforting it. Within 2 to 3 minutes, you will begin to feel better. But more importantly, what you're doing now is welcome to your home. This is your home. This is the crap that you're carrying around with you every day, whether you feel it or not, it's there. After a while, why don't you apologize to yourself? I, the spirit, Seth, will apologize to Seth, the body. I'm sorry I have left this house in this kind of disrepair. I'm sorry, Seth, that I ignored you. On my in breath, I'm going to feel the pain. On my out breath, I can say to myself, inside myself, or out loud, Seth, I'm sorry. It must really feel like crap to walk around all day feeling like this. This is horrible. This house is messed up. This is like a haunted house. This is bad for you and it's bad for me. It's my fault. I take responsibility. I should not have let the house get like this. But I'm here now, and we're going to fix it. I believe in you, Seth, and I love you. We can't do differently. I mean, we're here. We're here now. If I want to connect with Seth, I gotta be here. That's why I'm mindful. I gotta be in the present. I can't talk to Seth any other time. Might sound contradictory to what you're going to do tomorrow, but it's not. If you want to talk to your inner child, you got to be present while you talk to them. Because tomorrow you're going to be talking to your inner child. We have some conversations to have with ourselves, and we have a big bad house to fix. Most of us. Some of us, we can just make it better. Some of us might already have a decent house, but we can still build it better and stronger. Just don't repress. Don't pray that the bad feeling goes away. I'm someone who used to suffer really debilitating panic attacks. And I can feel the panic creeping in me now. It's not 100% cured in me. And the normal thing to do at that time is to try to turn it off, try to repress it, try to hide it, but then you focus on it and it grows and it grows and it grows. Instead, live with it, feel it. Breathing in, hello, my painful little friend. Breathing out, smile to it. I mean, physically smile. I'm comforting Seth. I'm sorry that you're feeling this. I know it's hard. It's because our home is not as strong as it should be. Because I've ignored you. I've hated you. I've done wrong with us. But now I'm here to do right. Having that love come in, that love for yourself between spirit and body, that's a wonderful feeling. And I know it's ironic because this experience often leads to bad feelings, and that's kind of the point of it. But it's such a great feeling to relieve and start to repair that house. So yourself in the day, you can go from the deepest, darkest despair. That's hopefully you find that. Sit with it. The point's not just to comfort it, the point's to get an insight into it, to start healing, to start building the house. One morning I woke up and I felt such horrible despair. My initial reaction is to try to alter it and say, like, well, I mean, for me particularly, sometimes it's regret. When my kids were younger, I just wish I'd spent more time with them. And I think all parents have regret with their kids. So for me, when I feel that deep despair, I start to say, well, think of all the good times you guys spent together. Think of this, and hey, you really did work hard and you tried to do this and that and that. So what I'm doing there is I'm altering that emotion. I'm altering that feeling, either by planning, discussion, talking, thinking, trying to change the past, trying to change the future, thinking about the future. I'm altering that feeling. That's the wrong thing to do. That's what we all do. That's wrong. Instead, what I did is I sat with that despair And boy, it got really painful. And I breathed in, acknowledged it, and breathed out, and I comforted Seth and I said, "Yeah, this is really bad. I'm sorry you have to live with this pain. Let's talk about how you feel for a second. Living with that pain every day, God, that sucks. No one would want to do that. And if you alter it, you might feel better. You're still carrying that. That's what's really that's your baseline emotion that you're carrying around with you every day." So I breathe in and breathe out. Just apologize to Seth. You don't have to know the root of this pain or everything about it to comfort yourself. Now, what happened differently when I did that instead of maybe what I did in the past was later in the day, the way that I often dealt with that deep despair was to get upset and angry about things. But just because I spent time with that pain, when I went and started to go into my old routine to deal with it, my body had insights. My brain didn't, my spirit didn't. I didn't necessarily know anything. My body reacted differently. As I started to go into my old anger routine, I was aware of it. I watched myself and I said, huh, this is what you do. This is what you've done your whole life, this cycle, this pattern. This is what you do to deal with um, that feeling of despair. It makes it go away. And then I said to myself, or I almost just observed my body saying it to itself, you don't have to do that. You're not gonna you're not gonna die if you don't do that. That's the kind of enlightenment, the kind of insight that you get when you spend time with your pain. You actually start to heal that house. You actually start to permanently remove it. So you can sit for a while and do it now. You can do it while you're washing dishes. Be aware of the in breath and the out breath while you wash dishes. You can do it while you work. You can do it while you drive. You can do it while you're at the store. Don't make yourself do it. Do it because you want to do it. Don't do it because you think you should or you have to. Only do it when you want. Introduce this idea to your body. Your body will start to see immediate results from it and it will want to do it. You don't have to enslave your body and force it to do it. It will do it if you introduce it slowly, maybe a little more today to get started. And in the future, your body will just naturally want to start doing it. You can do it when you walk. When you walk through the store, be aware of your in breath. Be aware of how many steps you take during your in breath. Be aware of how many steps you take in your during your out breath. When you're walking to your car from, maybe you're done with work and you're walking to your car, you can be aware of your in breaths and out breaths. A great time is when you first wake up in the morning. What do you feel? Just sit with it. Can you take a nap during the day? If you're doing the 4-day retreat, then you should spend as much time as you can today just doing like I've talked about. I'll probably bore you if I repeat it all again. Being aware of that in breath, being aware of that out breath. It won't take long until you feel pain. Sit with it, comfort it. Be aware that you're starting to build this home with your spirit and body together. And begin the process. So in and out. To me, the physical smile is very important. That was the most difficult part for me because I'm a person who doesn't smile. That's about as much as I can get, but anymore, I spent my whole life frowning, so my face can't physically do it. I'm working on that muscle. But we can smile on the inside. Make a physical smile. Smile with your eyes. My spirit to Seth, my body. When I do this, now I'm satisfied to live in my own home. If I was trying to move into my wife's, now I understand and I don't need to anymore. And then what we'll learn on day 4 is how to build a bigger home where my wife with her home and me with my home can live in this new home together. We will talk about that on day 4, but we can't do that unless we both have our own home. And that's all. Thank you for watching. I hope this has um, been great for you, and have a good day. End recording.